Tell me about what you recall.
Tell me what stands out.
Man.
What do you see there?
Oh, yeah, I've seen this picture. Good class.
I'm assuming the staircase one.
Yes.
Yep.
Those are the nights that are just, you never forget.
Wow, my eyes are closed. Nice.
Standing next to a young JT with his eyes closed. It's pretty cool.
For some reason, I'm not looking at the camera.
Gray sticks out. I like Gore's in here somewhere, if I remember right.
I was really sweaty.
Man, I remember this picture vividly. A lot of PGA Tour wins. Got some major championships in there.
Colt, unbelievable. Look how young Max looks. Oh my gosh.
Tony, myself, Berger, Putnam, Homa, Nick, Justin Thomas.
See a lot of guys that still out on tour now.
I think it's one of the strongest, or if not winningest classes in history.
A lot of guys who are still playing some great golf out here.
Of these 25, I think probably 10 of us are still playing on tour now, which is pretty crazy to think.
No, it was a very, very special day, and you know, you only get your PGA Tour card for the first time once.
Great memories. Guys that have gone on to do some pretty cool things over the last 10 years.
It's a wild, wild sport, and everybody's paths to get them there are different, but also their paths past that point are very different.
"10 years. Hard to believe it's been a full decade since that night in Ponte Vedra Beach where we received the PGA Tour card we'd worked so hard for all season.
Half man, half amazing, all the way back to the PGA Tour.
That's me, right there in the middle, Andre Gonzalez. Half man, half amazing. It was quite a year. I won in Utah for my second Korn Ferry Tour title. It was the second time I graduated to the PGA Tour. We all had big dreams and goals after that season. It's amazing what we've accomplished since. The Korn Ferry Tour class of 2014 has achieved more success on the PGA Tour than any other class the past 20 years.
I think everyone knew it was a talented class, but I don't think you could have predicted the amount of success that's come from it.
The 25 from the regular season have accumulated 40 tour wins so far, and some of the finals grads that played the full year on tour have added 5 additional titles. A few of our fellow alumni have risen to become some of the top players in the game.
The wins for Justin Thomas, they just keep on coming.
The new world #1, the 4th youngest at age 25.
For the 3rd time in his last 7 PGA Tour starts, Tony Finau is a
Max
winner.
Homa, another win on California soil.
Even those of us that didn't win multiple times on the PGA Tour have carved out our own unique paths.
Stephen Alker, your season-long champion in taking the Charles Schwab Cup.
I'm pretty stubborn and driven to keep going, determined to keep sticking with the game, because I knew there was in there.
Pretty proud to be a part of knowing that I competed with those guys and was able to kind of go head to head with them, even if it was only for a moment.
After having done it for 11 years between the PGA Tour and the Korn Ferry Tour, I think getting your PGA Tour card might be the hardest thing in this level of the game.
Looking back, it's crazy how much the game has changed since then, too. You can see the beginning of a lot of those shifts in 2014.
That was a really special class. It's crazy how much the game has changed in the last decade.
It was an interesting batch of players that kicked off that 25-event season in Columbia. Some young guys fresh out of college, some guys like myself that had been on the Korn Ferry Tour previously, and some older guys trying to make another run at the PGA Tour.
Korn Ferry Tour, there's always some young guys hot that year. You got 3 or 4 or 5 of them. You can just see walking down the range, the way they played and the scores they were shooting, that they were going to be really good.
I knew it was kind of, the door was closing, so I wanted to go out and just give it my all one more time. You could just see these young kids. They were all so good, and you just had to try to keep up with them because they had youth on their side.
That was my third and final time I graduated with a good finish at the first playoff event in Indiana, but you knew there were some stars coming. The likes of Finau, JT, Max Homa.
We were young, and a bunch of us, had come out of college that year and had played really well. Met new friends, but also got to travel around and compete with friends at the same time.
Rooming together, pinching pennies because you weren't making the money you now are. I got some great memories playing with some of the guys.
Definitely some long road trips with crammed in a car with some other guys, staying at hotels with people. It's definitely a bit more of, I would say, a bit more of a community down there.
JT, Max Homa, these guys, we kind of have a bond because of that class, and I played with them a lot, throughout that season, so I got to know them pretty well.
I have very fond memories of traveling internationally because we were always together. I shared a lot of rooms with Nick internationally. I know we shared a room in Brazil one year for sure. The only reason I remember that is because our beds were like this far apart from each other. There's a great sense of kind of camaraderie around that.
Some great conversations, and a lot of those kids were super eager to learn from the veterans, and which was great. If anybody ever came up to me and be like, hey, what's it like? And I had all the time in the world for them.
Everybody was great back then. Everybody was a nice guy. Everybody played great. You can tell if you play 18 holes with somebody if he's going to be a good player, a great player, or a superstar.
Competition that year was intense. Not that the Korn Ferry Tour isn't always tough, but man, we really started to experience the depth of golf in 2014.
You still had the older guys or the established guys who'd been out there still performing reasonably well, but competition was getting deeper and better.
The field size, the amount of talent, the amount of people trying to chase it, it's so competitive. The caliber of player that came out of there just shows kind of how competitive it was.
Oh, it was brutal. Just trying to make a cut out there was hard. You couldn't lack in any area. You had to drive it good, you had to hit good irons, you had to have a good short game, you had to putt. Other than that, it was pretty easy.
Scores are crazy low. So you go out there and shoot a couple 69s, a couple 70s, you can be packing your bags and leaving on Friday afternoon.
You could start to see where it was kind of like guys were coming back to try to get their cards, and now you saw this influx of young kids of the 22 and 23-year-old, and you can kind of see the changing of the guard, because back then that was kind of like the fallback tour, right? You guys were coming back after they lost their card and trying to get back, but you just saw these college kids and these young players just getting better and better and more competitive. Justin Thomas was just a pup, right? So you just saw him and you just look at him and you're just like, God, they're so good.
.21-year-old Justin Thomas. It's going to be fun to watch this young man.
Justin Thomas, he was a no-brainer superstar, right? We quickly realized he is the real deal.
Generates a tremendous amount of power.
He was kind of a, lack of a better term, prodigy coming out of Alabama anyways. There was a lot of expectation put on him.
That's a great example right there of the dynamic nature of his play.
Watching Justin play, he was the most dominant player. He had so many top 10s.
I've had some good opportunities to win. At some point, you need to know how you feel and you don't know how to react. And I feel like I've learned well from those to where if I get in contention, I'll know it's what I'm experiencing and hopefully succeed at it.
I would say Justin Thomas was probably my closest friend out there. I met him when he was first getting going in professional golf, and I don't know, we just kind of bonded. We loved trash talking, loved playing money games against each other or with each other, and he was the guy I probably spent the most time around.
It was my first year. I'm playing on a tour, I'm making my own schedule. I'm traveling week to week. I don't have a college coach that's organizing my life, dealing with finances and everything like that. It was a first.
The resume is filled. What a year for this young man.
I don't really feel much. Everything's pretty numb.
It's crazy, you know. I felt like of all the chances I had, it's crazy how this one kind of worked out, but it just happened to be my week, so I'm pumped.
He's a heralded amateur, now professional with a great career in front of him, Justin Thomas.
It impacted my life because I got my PGA Tour card, and fortunate to still be out here, and I had some great accomplishments since, but it paved my way.
I think that fall when we all got our cards as rookies is when he kind of got it together, and then it's just been a historic career since then.
Savor the moment, Justin. You are a PGA Tour winner for the Justin's week started with a 59. It ends with a new PGA Tour scoring record.
Major championship, PGA championship, player of year honors locked up. Just really knows how to play golf.
Justin Thomas, the FedEx Cup champion for 2017.
Justin Thomas is your latest players matches a feat only one other player has accomplished before the age of 28. 14 PGA Tour wins, championship, players title, and his idol Tiger Woods.
I feel like I matured a lot. I know that there's a lot of things that I went through that year on the Korn Ferry that have helped me and continue to help me out on tour.
Among JT's many skills, his distance off the tee was a major advantage. He wasn't the only one, though. Distance was really beginning to take off that season.
What a huge advantage power is. You know, in today's game, you can launch it high from deep rough and these par fives, turn them into long par fours.
Tiger, started everything with the gym and, starting to absolutely smash it. If you're not carrying it 300 yards, you're looking for something else to do. So I would say right around, 2010 to 2015 is when things started to change and it turned into a distance game.
Tiger kind of brought in this influx of really, really good athletes. You started to see these kids come up and they were just super athletic and super, just competitive.
It truly was a transitional year for distance. In 2014, 32 players averaged over 300 yards off the tee. I was one of them, by the way. A year later, it was 61. In 2017, it was 89. Now it's over 100 year after year after year. Guys like Tony Finau and Justin Thomas were the signs of what was coming.
Justin Thomas, it's like just watching him and just the lack of fear. No scars. He hasn't missed a 4-footer to miss the cut. They know how good they are, and I think that's just, to me, that was the time when everything started to change. That was like the youth movement.
You could watch Tony and see that that was a massive advantage and that he was going to be successful because of it.
This is an awesome feeling to have that gear, and be able to, when you really want to put one out there and give it all you got, you can do that. It's an advantage to hit it that far.
I hit it pretty far for my size. I don't think too many people would look at me and think I hit it far, and that's a lot easier when you're hitting wedge as opposed to a 7 or 8 iron.
It was kind of like the year it sort of started turning. I mean, I was, 43, so yeah, it just kind of felt that way. Like there was that kind of era where, okay, yeah, we got some young guys coming out, gonna be really, really good.
Speaking of long ball hitters, seems like the perfect time to talk about another 2014 grad, Tony Finau.
I turned pro in 2007, and I didn't get to the Korn Ferry Tour until 2014. So the journey was long and tough, there's no question.
Tony Finau is the guy that had a lot of hype going out. When he was 17 years old, obviously turning pro, played in Milwaukee on the PGA Tour, and I mean, he was the talk of the tournament. This guy is going to be a problem out on the PGA Tour.
24-year-old, turned pro when he was 17. Actually won the US Junior way back in 2002.
Big long arms, big tall guy, athletic, and yeah, he could hit it.
He's one of those guys who just makes you angry, right? He hits a shot and you're like, I'm never gonna make the ball sound like that.
Tony always has been fun to watch because he's got pretty much unlimited power and he sort of reins it in. He looks like he's just kind of like throwing a softball and he's, throwing a 95-mile-an-hour heater.
I just remember playing with him and being like, I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to compete with these guys.
We've known about him. We've seen him in Salt Lake. We've seen him in Boise. Just starting to mature into an all-around game.
It was hectic at times, but it was all worth it. I needed it to grow as a person, as a player, and when I finally got to the Korn Ferry Tour, I knew that my window of opportunity was going to be wide open from there to live out my dream.
Let's see you swing. Let's see you do your golf swing.
Do your swing.
Oi. Oi.
You look good, man. Better form than your dad. My family didn't travel with me at all on the Korn Ferry Tour. It was extremely hard, no question, to not have them out there. It was part of the sacrifices my wife and I had to make early in our marriage. My oldest is 2. He's turning 3 later this year, so it's still, you know, being a father is still really new to me. But, you know, lucky to me, I had a father that was there for me, so I'm gonna try and be, you know, the same father that my dad was to my kids, and maybe even hopefully a little bit better. So.
I'm just proud of him, you know, and he's learning how to grind it out. That's what he's going to need to get to the tour and play well on the PGA Tour, you know, because he's a fast learner, he's a quick, he's a hard worker.
Thank you. Perfect.
Well, I've seen it in 2 years. I'm like, wow, this is like a lot. We went through PGA Tour Canada, we went through Q School, so I'm like thinking, I was asked Tony, dang, this is what all the guys have to go through? I know for me, sometimes I feel like it's hard because I guess most of the times I feel like I'm a single parent. Just seeing it now, I'm like, wow, I gotta respect the grind now because everyone thinks golf is easy, but really it's not. Tony's perfect for it because he's patient and yeah, he's super athletic and he works really hard.
I give so much credit to my wife through those years to just allow me to go out and try to make a living for us and our family and a foundation for us. We knew it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass and that I needed to do what I had to do to try and get to the PGA Tour. My win at Stonebray was kind of the crowning moment of the season, and at that point I knew I was going to be a PGA Tour player, which was just everything for me.
I feel overwhelmed, really. I don't think it's really synced in. You know, coming up that 18th green there, you know, I got a little bit of goosebumps going, you know, just thinking about how far I've come these last couple of years. I'm just soaking the win up, and I know it was just a huge performance on my part.
He was just so raw and so just gung-ho, and it was just great to kind of watch him round into form and finally get his card.
24 years old, he's from Salt Lake City. He showed a tremendous amount of resilience this year. Tony Finau.
Tony has gone on to be one of the most consistent players on tour, making the Tour Championship 8 straight seasons since 2017 and has 6 titles to his name.
And there's your champion, Tony Finau. The floodgates are open for Tony Finau as he goes back-to-back on the PGA Tour. It's a Finau family fiesta in Mexico. Here they come to help celebrate career win number 6 on the PGA Tour.
Every season has its ups and downs, and every year you have to continue to dig deeper and find more of yourself than you maybe thought you had. I'm still learning and trying to understand, you know, why, and just try to get better.
Some guys will pick it up immediately. Some guys need, 2 years. Some guys need 10 years, maybe 20.
Alex Cejka is one of the 15 players from the class of 20.
fantastic performance by Nick Taylor.
Spent a lot of time with Nick Taylor early on. I played him in the U.S. Amateur the year I won, and just remember how solid his game was, and I'm so pumped for him to see the career he's having now.
Good pace. Are you serious? Oh my goodness! Glorious and free!
What he did in Canada last year is one of the coolest moments I've ever seen in golf. And then just recently in Phoenix, showing how clutch he is.
Absolute unreal stuff in the desert for Nick Taylor.
It kind of sums up the way Nick's been playing in these last 18 months. I mean, you get him in a position and he's clutch. He does what he needs to do to get the job done.
For all that Nick has achieved the past decade, it was one huge round at the Korn Ferry Tour Championship that made the difference in 2014.
I shoot 63 at the Dye course there at Sawgrass. Again, not knowing really what I needed that final day, but to kind of put it in my own hands, have a great round, move up the leaderboard, and kind of solidify getting a PGA Tour card was a very memorable day.
Nick went on to win that same fall after earning his card and has maintained status on the PGA Tour ever since. For some, though, it may take a second or even third trip back to the Korn Ferry Tour before they achieve their true potential.
It's stressful just because, you know, you don't really have any time to slow down. You got to keep playing well and either try to get some wins or a lot of top 10s, because you don't want to get too close to that, you know, 25 number. It's just filled with a lot of good players that really, really want it, and it just makes it really, you know, really competitive out here.
The NCAA champion is now a winner, capturing the BMW Charity Pro-Am in South Carolina.
It's surreal. It's emotional. Man, I didn't win a lot in college, and got a little bit of practice at the end of the year, and to come out and do it quickly, it means a lot to me, and it gives me a lot of confidence going forward.
Max Homa was one of the cool stories because he was the superstar college amateur player, got his PGA Tour card very early, and then struggled for a while, and I mean, really struggled.
2 years ago, his game was in such a sad state that he made 2 cuts in 17 tournaments. But he's come back, got his status returned, lived by the mantra and the saying, winners never quit and quitters never win.
When I hit rock bottom, I found a shovel and kept digging. I went to some low, low places, and there would be times when I'd wallow and honestly just hate my golf game, dislike what I was out there, and what's supposed to be my favorite place in the world is a golf course. And all of a sudden I started to hate it. I remember just thinking to myself, I wish someone could come down and tell me that this is how good I am, and I will never be better than this, so I can just stop. I'd like to know that at the end of the day, at the end of my career, like, I know for a fact that that's as far as I would have gotten in this game.
A champion on the rise, Max Homa.
Reflecting on 2 years, I'm tough. I don't know all about my golf all the time, but I'm tough. I refuse to give up. I refuse to give in, and I believe that hard work will pay off.
Max Homa, his second win on the PGA Tour on his favorite course, Riviera.
Had good feelings this week. Been playing great. City of Champions now. Dodgers, Lakers, me now.
Max Homa, the champion at the Wells Fargo Championship.
I saw $18,000 in a year out here. I saw feeling very, very small, having literally no hope as to getting a top 10, let alone making a cut that season. I think that's something I carry close to my chest, because I think it's something that, as much as nobody will want to have it, it's nice to have if you get through that tough time.
When he was struggling, I was just amazed. I'm like, how are you not succeeding at this game? Because he's got all the talent in the world, and he's finally believing it, and we're finally seeing how great he is.
Once he realized how good he was, and he didn't have to be perfect, he just had to be himself, he became a great champion. We always knew he was a funny guy, but what a great husband, father, champion, like representative for the game, and I'm just super proud of him.
I feel like, you know, there might be a day where golf might push me to want to quit, but those are usually the days that you can come back from and look back on and say, hey, that day didn't beat me. You would like your career to be linear, but to have that to fall back to and kind of learn how to play while having to compete against some amazing golfers and meet the next kind of wave of players coming up that is always inspiring as you get older, that's a huge benefit of the Korn Ferry Tour.
Much like how Max's journey has been winding, many of the class of 2014 have our own unique stories and had great achievements down different avenues.
It's the years prior to now that were the building blocks to what I've done. All those experiences I gained and the play and the competition I got on the Korn Ferry, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better build-up going into Champions.
Stephen Alker, who won in Cleveland during the 2014 season in a record-setting 11-hole playoff, has gone on to become a big name on PGA Tour Champions, winning 8 times, capturing the Charles Schwab Cup in 2022.
The emotion pouring out of Alker.
Where he was just a year ago to be here right now, just outstanding stuff.
It's been fun. It's been a different vibe, a different atmosphere, and that's what I liked about it. You know, trying to win golf tournaments and amongst a different company and still learning, still building and still learning and trying to get better.
Alex Cejka has also been successful after 50, winning 3 senior majors.
Alex Cejka, in just his 3rd start on the PGA Tour Champions, has won the first major of the year.
There's not many sports where you can still be on top of your game when you're in the 50s. So I think we are blessed that we chose that sport, obviously a long, long time ago. But I kept grinding. I love this game, and I want to play this game as long as I can.
There's going to be a lot of emotions going on. Guys are going to be trying to hit shots under a different kind of pressure. They're playing for their livelihood. For others, like myself, we've put down the clubs and picked up a mic.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be really quiet right now.
Andres Gonzalez in there, like he's working on PGA Tour Live. Colt works at CBS now, has a podcast, and continues to use the relationships in a way that he made, I'm sure, on that tour and other times on the PGA Tour to help his knowledge.
I want no part of this whole Kurt. If you happen to miss the fairway, you come over here to this rough where the ball is not going to bounce. It sinks straight to the bottom, and you're going to have a shot of around 200 yards to this green. I didn't get a good look at either of these putts because Harry Diamond dropped his putter head cover back in the fairway, and I politely went back and got it for him. Harry is very confused. He cannot find the putter head cover.
So you haven't told him, you haven't given it to him yet? Oh, there we go. In real time.
This is a blast. I can't make a bogey from right here. I'm starting to get why Colt likes this so much. Colt, if he makes a 1, you have to do 50 push-ups.
Oof, like in a row?
We could stretch it out over a week. Go in, please. No.
Smart man, Scott. Thank you, sir. Just when I said how nice you were, you want me to like die on national television?
Die. I mean, show some respect to Scott and all his fitness. It's great how maybe golf didn't go the way of like a Hall of Fame, but they had a successful golf career and then have used that to continue to either keep grinding or turn it into another golf-adjacent job.
They catch this downslope, and it's going to run it.
The all-time Korn Ferry Tour wins leader, Jason Gore, spent 4 years at the USGA before joining the PGA Tour as an executive vice president and chief player officer.
My only dream was to ever play on the PGA Tour. I never thought I'd have an office in this building, but it's definitely been a crash course MBA, and I'm glad to be in this building representing the players and trying to get across some of the things that I've learned for a long time. I just never thought I'd be looking through this lens, and I'm so grateful I am.
Some have even moved beyond golf, but have taken the traits they displayed in earning a PGA Tour card to the business world.
I miss professional golf, but the things that I enjoyed about it, I can now just put towards this new career of wealth management. And so seeing Colt be successful is not surprising because he was successful at golf. And seeing Steven and Cejka have success at the Champions Tour is like they got their PGA Tour card. And so I think the commonality is it's a group of gifted people who's excelled at what they did, and then they're going to go do that regardless of what it is.
Everybody that was there that day and getting their tour card that day, whether it was their first, second, however many time,
Whether they're still playing golf or not, like, they're still great players. It's just the top of the top is the PGA Tour.
10 years on from that night we earned our PGA Tour cards. It's nostalgic to remember those days in light of what followed. The journeys we've been on, the ups and downs, the triumphs and close calls. For one season, we all walked the same path. We all achieved a lifelong goal. For each of us, it's an honor to be a part of that class.
Pretty proud to be a part of, like, knowing that I competed with those guys and was able to kind of go head to head with them, even, you know, just even if it was only for a moment.
It's obviously a very special class to be a part of. To look back, to know that I've been out here on tour for 10 years now, I certainly believe that my time on the Korn Ferry Tour prepared me to be out here for a long time.
It was the dream to be on the PGA Tour, so getting through that year, and you know, 2 months later, I've been a PGA Tour champion. A lot has changed in that few months. 10 years later, it's amazing how time flies, and now I've made a career out here, so it's pretty cool.
There's no guarantees in this game, but to see this be one of the best classes, you know, I'm honored to be a part of it. Obviously, I'm not playing anymore, but to sit back and say, like, I knew those guys win, it's pretty cool for me.
It really is crazy to look back at that class and think about how many great players there are, how many great personalities in the game of golf, and to add my name to a list of so many great players and so many great guys. It's definitely something really cool that I enjoy and that we all kind of share together.
I competed against those guys for a whole season and had a lot of success with them. It's fun to just sit on my couch on a Sunday and watch a major and know that those are the guys I played with and got my card with.
You have to give up a lot to do what you love, and everybody who's ever held a golf club and played in a PGA Tour event loves it and has made sacrifices just to be there. To me, it's about the competition and these guys just giving it their all to just chase their dreams, and whether you make it or not, if you ever held a PGA Tour card, in my book, you've made it.